or a little bit more or a little bit less. So yeah, super happy to be here. Mario, thanks for the invitation. Uh, the idea for today is just to share a little bit, yeah, what we're seeing. Actually, let me rephrase this. So I'm the CEO of a company called Naviu. If you're curious to see more, the website is Naviu with a new .tech. I'll show it in a second. And basically, we are a B2B digital product studio. So we build products for companies, and we build a lot of MVPs. So basically, what I would like to talk today is a little bit sharing our insights and experience to how companies have been launching their MVPs. Uh, I just want to, I don't know from the audience, yeah, is there a lot of technical people here? I would be curious to know if there's uh, developers or any coders in the room.
Yeah, you can just write in the chat or
Okay, so I see Bastian.
yeah,
Uh,
at least one.
cool. Just a disclaimer, I'm not technical. I'm more from the business and product side of things. Every time that I talk about these topics, it's more on that, how can I say, on a little bit of that angle more than the technicalities, because of course when we talk about no code and uh, building products with AI, there's some things regarding the code itself that and particularities about that I cannot go into detail about that. But again, I always share the experience of what at our company has been working or not working. So let me share my screen. Mario, let me know if you can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is me. As I mentioned, I'm the CEO of Naviu. I'm also the founder of the Builders Club, which is an AI and automation conference in Berlin that we're also doing in partnership with SIBB. And I'm a startup mentor at the Unicorn Factory. Sorry, there's a typo there. It's not Berlin, but Lisbon. So I'm Portuguese, and yeah. Uh, I support startups in Lisbon to go from zero to MVP and beyond. As I mentioned, I'm the founder of the Builders Club. If you're curious, it's called Builders Club with a K.com. It's a conference we're organizing on the 25th of June in Berlin, and it's going to be AI and automation, and also like how to launch and scale companies faster. So if anyone is interested, we're going to launch the tickets today, actually, this afternoon. So if you're, no, actually tomorrow. So if you're curious, yeah, you can see more information there. So going into the topic. So the traditionally to build an MVP or to build tech, it was much slower than today. It would require a lot of people hands-on, a lot of infrastructure set up, and usually high costs, long cycles, and also high risk, right? Developers are expensive. Coding took a lot of time, and to build something, it really required a lot of like intensive investment. So when we're talking about a startup, which you're not 100% sure if your idea is valid in the market or not, it's a big risk, and that's why like the model has always been a lot like focused on VC backing, because you need high amounts of cash to launch something. I don't like to say that all of that has disappeared. It's still part of the case, but I think things are slowly changing, and there's a path towards more democratization of software and of tech. So in a very like succinct way, in the last, let's say, 15 years, it's a little bit what happened in terms of timeline. Like cloud infrastructure uh, became a norm, right? So everything would be on a cloud and hosted somewhere and not on local servers. Um, this was around 2010s. Then we started seeing a lot more open source and libraries, so like things like React.js, Angular started becoming the norm, and a lot of like boilerplate reusable elements, which basically instead of creating things exactly from scratch, developers could already go and find libraries that they could use to speed up their work. Then low-code and no-code platforms started becoming also much more popular, which basically here it creates a layer of abstraction, right, where you can build applications by dragging and dropping components, and by doing so, it was much faster to build an application, and also started to enable non-tech founders to actually build tech products, of course, with some limitations, but it started allowing that path to happen. And now we are seeing also AI-assisted coding, either through having AI helping developers writing the code, or the new term that's very popular called vibe coding, which you give a prompt and it creates you an entire application. And then you can also fine-tune your application by using prompts. So today I wanted to focus more on this last two. Of course, and at our company, we also do the same. We build a lot of MVPs with code, and scale platforms with code. But depending on the use cases and the stage of development that you are, we increasingly believe that local platforms and AI-assisted coding, it's the best way for a startup to, build prototypes, build the first MVPs, scale, see that there's demand, and then from there, if needed, then start incorporating code and and scale their product. So yeah, with the idea is that we feel that with each step, with each phase, it marks a new step in the democratization of tech. So yeah, launching products is becoming easier and easier. I've been seeing that this has been led to a shift on how we launch startups. So before, it was a lot about, build a pitch deck, get VC funding, build your MVP, get a first customer, scale, and then maybe, rebuild in the future. And then now we're seeing much more like prototype, validate the prototype, build the first MVP, get first customers, create a pitch deck, get VC funding, and then scale. It doesn't need to, of course, this is not the case for every company. There's a lot of companies that still do it this way, but we're seeing an increasingly shift to the latter. Why? Because let's imagine that you're a VC company. It's much easier to give money to a company that already has a working product, they already have clients, and because that validates that the team can actually build something. So it's much safer for them to put the money in. And again, I think the tools that we have at our disposal now allow much more for this second model. So when I talk about focusing on low code and no code platforms, what are those and how do they work? So the promise of no code and low code is being able to build like 10 times faster than traditional development. So we say up to, it's not always the case. Sometimes it's twice as fast. Depends also on the tools that you use. Some tools are easier, some tools are more complicated, but we'll see that in a second. But the main idea of low code or no code is to develop visually. So you have drag and drop interfaces. It's much easier to go and adjust things because it's all visual. It's all within a platform. You don't actually have to go and write code. You can write code if you want or to extend some features, but you don't need to. So it's fast to build. It's easier to deploy. It's easier to learn. And for some of these tools, no technical background is needed. One of the things that we see with low-code tools is that there's a lot of tools on the market, right? It's very difficult to navigate, and when you're like starting to found a company, especially if you're non-technical, you're always a little bit lost on, oh, what should I use to, start building what I want to build. So to simplify it, I like to see low-code and no-code tools in a spectrum. So you have on the left side the ones that are easier to use, but that they have more limitations, right? So basically think of this as like the easier a tool it is to use for non-technical founders, the less complex it is, right? Because it needs to stay within an easy route for people to use. So it's always that trade-off. If it's easy to use, then it has more limitations. If it's more complex to use, then it has less limitations. So what we see is like, for example, with no code, if you use tools like Software or Airtable, they are much more easy to use, but not as scalable, right? And they don't require, like, non-technical founders can build with this and learn this very quickly. But if you want to build more complex applications with low code, then if you use tools like Bubble or WeWeb, they're still faster to learn than code, but they have a complexity to them that it's important to learn, and there's a steep learning curve to get there if you come from zero. If you're already a developer using these tools, you also get up to speed very quickly. But if you're non-technical, then they take a long time. So I want just to show you quickly what I mean by this. So I'll close this. So for example, this is a software called Airtable, where basically if you look at this, it looks like a spreadsheet, right? It's super easy to use, and basically you can create a relational database as you would be working with Excel. So for example, you want to have this is a shop I've made, so to showcase just products that are from Europe. I created here different tabs, and then if I want to create a new field, for example, I just go here, I click, I select a new type of field, let's say multiple selects, and I can just create here the variables. But it's as easy as using Google Sheets or Excel, and you can create everything very visual, right? Then what I did in this product was, so this is Airtable. So let's imagine this is our backend, right? And then I use software connected to that base as my front end, right? So on software, if you see here the categories, so you see there, for example, shopping, fashion, software, toys and games, that's exactly what's happening here. Shopping, software, cars. So basically, it's going and getting the data from Airtable to showcase on my front end on software. And how do you build this? Basically, you go here, you connect your source, that is your database. You say what's the base, the table, and the view that you want to show, and basically it shows it. And if you want to add a new component to your website, you can just click here on a plus, and you say, okay, I want to add to this website a hero. Okay, so there's my hero, and I want to add here on the bottom, I want to add and see, for example, this to subscribe to my newsletter, right? And then I just click here, preview, and then, I just added a hero, and I have a newsletter subscription. So what this means is, again, as I said in the beginning, I'm non-technical, but I can actually build a product. Of course, this product cannot do everything possible that I would want. I need to be within the rules of software and Airtable, but there's already that I can build here by myself. You can build login screens, you can build dashboards, you can you can have login, you can have authentication. So there's a lot that you can do just with two platforms, and you don't need to be technical at all to build this. So usually these type of tools are great for non-technical founders to start getting their ideas out and building something quick. Just to give you an example, this platform, I at the time I built it in, I think, 1.5 hours. It's not perfect, it's not great. I did it very quickly, but it's just like, it's very quick for you to have an idea, go in and build it. So this, I would say, so these are tools that are more on like this side, so they are easier to use and have more limitations. And then I can show you two others it's still no code, but they are more complex. For example, Xano here, you can build databases. As you see here, is not as uh, it doesn't look as how can I say, simple as Airtable, but that means that you can do a lot more things here and a lot of things more complex. In a way, what we usually say is if you use tools like Xano, for example, you can actually build proper databases with if you know how to code, like this is just like how you would code it, but done in a visual way and a much faster way because there's already a lot of pre-built components. But this allows you to do things that are much more complex and yeah, and also scalable for the future. And then, for example, I'll also give you here another example of WeWeb. It's a front end. So if I compare this to, for example, software, like here, I can go inside of this table. I can change every component. And you can see here the amount of things that I can change from the component, which again mimics a lot of code, or how code works. But if I go here to software, like I can't change much. For example, on this one, I could change the image, I can change the title, but I cannot change how big or how large this button is or not. I cannot style that. So when we look at these tools, no code or low code tools, again, we need to think about what we want to build, our technical knowledge, right? And base our selection based on that. We always recommend that if you're just building a prototype, if you're building your first idea, start with the tools that are easier to use, just to get your idea out, just to test it, see if people like it, see if you can get customers from it, and then if it works, then start transitioning to more scalable solutions. Um, and and it's always like this, right? You can build a prototype in a very basic technology, test it out. If it works, then build it in a more robust one. Test it out. If it works, then maybe, yeah, one day you'll have to go to code and build something like that is super scalable in code. But here we're talking about MVP. So MVP is really about testing your idea, seeing if there's a market for it, and only investing a lot of time into building a more scalable tech if it makes sense for it. So just to give you an idea of one application, uh, one application that we've built with more advanced local tools was this one. So this is a marketplace in Switzerland that it's entirely built with low code. So like there's advanced filtering, there's user accounts, there's a checkout process, there's a messaging system. So there's a lot of things that we could never do with other tools like software, for example, and this demands a more robust stack, but it's much faster. It was much faster to do this with low code than doing it with than we would have done it with code. So going back here to the presentation. So yeah, the ones on the left, I think they are, yeah, as I said, quick to learn and build with, best for internal tools, early prototypes, but hit limitations when scaling. And then the other ones have greater scalability. Coding skills are recommended. You can learn them without knowing how to code, but it's a very steep learning curve, but they are suitable for more complex applications. Then we're seeing increasingly now AI-assisted coding becoming very popular. It's still good for some use cases. Of course, like there's a lot of talk on LinkedIn that like, now AI will just replace all developers. We think there's a long way to go for that to use, but for sure, like it's important that people start using these tools and start learning them because AI or generative AI, the main thing that it has is actually to write text, right? And if we think all code is text, so what we anticipate is that these technologies will evolve quite fast and they will become very important tools for developers. And there's two two areas for I would say there's two areas for AI coding. One is AI pair programming. So like, using ChatGPT, Copilot, or for example, Cursor. So when you're building an app, you have there something that you can ask, hey, can you write me this function, or can you write me this? And it gives you. You need to give him a lot of guidance to get it correctly. But the idea is always like you get it done, it spits out the code, and then you fine tune it and use it. It's a little bit, I don't know if people here have tried to write emails with the ChatGPT. Usually, you put it there, say, oh, reply this and that. It gives you an answer. A lot of times you also need to fine tune it then to send it, right? So it's a little bit similar with code. What AI still has a problem is to understand the full context of the application, and also, like, of course, from a reliability perspective, you don't want to have an AI agent going to your code base and making one change here and then breaking something else on another side, and you don't really know what is done. So it's important to be careful with it. And then we have vibe coding, which is now like you use platforms where you give it a prompt and it just builds the application for you, and then you make the adjustments also using prompts. So I was gonna ask, is there someone here that could share with me like the idea for an MVP that they are building? Like just a rough description, if you could put it in the chat, because I would like to try and build it quickly. Let's give it, if anyone wants to write it there, otherwise I can just get an example from. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay. So maybe I'll just, is it possible to social media platform with a camera and shows this wearing similar? Okay, this one might be a little bit difficult because it has a scanning with a camera, so I can imagine this is for mobile. Thank you, Alba, but I think your example is a little bit tricky to what I'm trying to see, because it's not a mobile app. Okay, let me do one thing then. I'll use an example from. I'll create an example myself. Oh, how can I solve this? Okay. So let me use an example by myself. Let me just open here ChatGPT, and I'm gonna open a tool called Lovable. I don't know if you're familiar with it. And let me just close here my tabs. So Lovable is an AI developer that builds the full app for you. So here it says idea to app in seconds. So let's, for example, give it. I'm gonna just use ChatGPT, and I always recommend like use ChatGPT as much as you can for a lot of things. It's really important. It's really a output multiplier. So I'm gonna say I want to create a used car marketplace with Lovable. Give me a prompt to create it. So I'm just trying to get used car marketplace app. I think he didn't understand what I give me the requirements and a prompt to create it. Basically, I'm just asking ChatGPT to create me the requirements for an app. So he gave me here a prompt. Of course, if I was creating this by myself, I would write the prompt myself probably, or use ChatGPT to help me. But basically, we are telling here Lovable that create a full stack used car marketplace app where user can sign up as buyers or sellers. Sellers can post car listings with photos. So normal stuff you get from a marketplace. So I'm just gonna click here, and I'm gonna ask him to build the application. So this takes a little bit, but what basically Lovable is doing is creating the code. So if you see here, Lovable, based on that prompt, now is writing. It creates different files, okay, and now it's writing the application. So I'm gonna let it here for a second, and we can come back here just in a second to check what is built. But I wanted to give you, while he's doing it, I wanted to give you another use case of building with AI. So for example, we are now at Naviu creating our new website. So if I go here and if I upload from a computer, if I upload the home page, I can actually tell him, please write me the HTML and CSS code to develop this landing page, right? So I put here the image and I ask him that. And this is what I talk about AI-assisted coding. So for example, if you want to build this landing page with code, it's not saying that sometimes the AI can write it perfectly for you, but it can get 80% of the work done. So if you see here, the AI is now starting to write all the code, right? And before this, you would have to kind of like type it manually, spend the time structuring it. And now what you get is an assistant that is there helping you, fast track a lot of this process, right? So it's not saying that so he gave here the HTML and he gave here the CSS stuff. So it's not saying that he'll do it perfectly, probably not, but it does a lot of the heavy lifting. So you see this, okay, you copy, you deploy it, and then you're like, okay, what do I need to adjust? So while we're here, let me just go back here to our app. It's still building, but I'll do one thing, because just so for the sake of time, because I tested this yesterday. I'll go here and show you what it created for me yesterday. So this was what Lovable yesterday created when I gave it a similar prompt. So yesterday I said, build a modern, user-friendly marketplace app for buying and selling used cars. It should have a clean design. It should have user registration and all of that. And so this is what it created. It created the landing page with responsiveness, and then it created the listings, for example. Of course, if I click here on something, show car phone number, message seller, it doesn't work. But for example, I can add to favorites. This is also not working. So some parts are not working, others are working, but he already gave me a lot of the structure for this marketplace. Again, some things are broken, but if you want to build something quick, like if you want to build something quick or test ideas quick, like at the moment, this is becoming the faster way to do it. Now, then if you want to make this a proper website, it's very important that you have the coding skills to fix the problems and to know what it's building. And at the time being, it still creates a lot of bugs and a few issues. But what we're seeing is the technology is evolving very, very fast. Let me just see here, it still hasn't created, but I'll show you here how we do oh, sorry, I don't want to do this. How you can then edit. So you see here, and you can say like, I don't like the hero on the home page. Please change it. So the way that you interact with the website is by giving it a different prompt. And now what it's doing is, okay, it's going to the code, you see there, and it's developing the code for you. And this will result in a different header. I hope so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, now we have a different, okay, the preview is still not working, but you see there, right? We have a different banner on the top that it changed. So anything that you want to change on the website, basically you can either ask him to do, or you can go to the code base. And if you know how to code, you can go straight away there and change it. Of course, this is just, it's very in the beginnings. It's still not 100% perfect. There's a lot of problems and you really need to know how to code. But like if you start testing with this and trying, even for non-technical founders, is a very good way to get like a first clickable prototype or yeah, to show to other people.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can I ask? So, is this product working in a sense of can I click on sell a car and add everything, upload pictures, and so on?
Yeah, not yet. You would
Mm-hmm.
have to continue working on it, and then probably you would have to debug some stuff. But actually, yes, it's not working 100%. But if you click here on sell a car, you see like there's already the Toyota, the model, the year. Like there's already a lot of things that are working. Okay. Uh, Usually the problem, and we've been testing a lot with this, is that sometimes for you to fix, like you can also get a picture here. So it works. Of course, like there'll be things here that won't be working. Like for example, so I click on the search is broken. So at the moment, it's still a little bit tricky to get it, like, again, if you don't know how to read the code to fix some of the issues, but you already can get things working quite well.
Yeah.
Now,
And
again, if you don't look under the hood, sometimes it's a problem because you might be having bugs that you cannot see. But we feel like this is becoming more and more it will become increasingly the way to build products, especially when you're building MVPs, because MVPs, the AI doesn't need to be worried about the code base that already exists. It's creating something straight away.
yeah,
Uh,
Diogo, if I may add something.
yeah.
So I think it's also possible to copy paste this code which might not work, so the parts which are not working either into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever LLM you're using, and trying to fix the bugs.
Yes. Yes.
So this is a kind of a workaround. So you can still, when you see, okay, specific tabs are not working, so you can do
Yeah.
it step by step.
Yeah. So one of the advantage from, for example, this type of products is that they create the code below, right? So you see here, you can send this to GitHub and you can fix anything that you want manually with code. So that's one of the things with no code tools. Sometimes you don't have access to the code base. Here you have, but yeah, this is like Lovable, for example, got I think 15 million now in funding. It's one of the fastest growing startups in Europe, and I think this will increasingly become a tool for development, especially for MVPs. There was some problem here. Yeah, the other app that we tried to build didn't really work, but I don't know. Sometimes there's still some bugs and stuff. I would say if you'd ask me like what is more reliable at the moment to launch an app that you start having users and stuff, I still feel low code it's better than this options. Except again, if you know how to code and you just use this to create like the main structure, but then you go in and fix the bugs by yourself. So going back here to the presentation. So we're talking today about launching MVPs. So I really like to look at MVPs like look at tech as a business tool, right? You're not just building a product, you're building a business, right? So if you start building like your business with some tools like Airtable and Software, which are very easy to use, of course they have limitations, they have all of that, but it allows you to kickstart your product. That's great, and that doesn't mean that you're always going to be limited to that tech stack. No, the tech stack always evolves, right? And, you know, the tech stack, let's see, for example, Zalando. Zalando didn't start with exactly the same tech stack and architecture as they have now, right? They started small, they started getting clients, and then they started upgrading things. And with development, there's always change. It's continuously changing. So I think the goal with an MVP is to validate the business idea with minimal time and money. So like if you can put together an Airtable and software product in 3 days and already start testing it with users, it's better than trying to build a code product in 3 or 6 months and only then start talking to users, right? So like don't overinvest in tech for an invalidated idea, right? Even for example, now with Lovable, like get an account, it's 50 bucks, 50 USD per month. You can go give your prompts, start creating something, even if it's broken, even if it doesn't work perfectly, but you just want that to show to some users and say like, hey, we're planning on building this. Like, would this have value to you? Like, that's better than spending months building something that then maybe no one wants. So always think about your solution, your product, and the tech that you build as like steps towards validating your idea. So yeah, start cheap and fast. Use easy no-code tools to start with, and then start scaling it. Do a lot of things manually as well, right? There's a lot of products that they don't need the tech to validate the idea, right? Let's so someone. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so a lot of times you can just use tech to get the information from the user, right? Then you'd say, okay, my application would do all of this with AI and automation, and you would, you'd get the results in 5 seconds. But there's some possibilities that you can get the information from your potential client. You do everything manually, you deliver it manually, and then you see if there's value. And if there's value, then you implement the tech in the middle to, instead of you having to do it manually, the tech does it for you. But it's important to have this idea that yeah, only invest in tech when you are more sure that people are gonna want what you're trying to build. Of course, again, if you're building a deep tech product, this doesn't apply. What I'm saying here doesn't apply to every what can I say? It doesn't apply to every use case, but it applies to a lot of them. I just wanted to open here the chat quickly because I saw before. So for example, there's and shows directly users wearing similar clothes or scanning a product with a camera. Yeah, for example, the social media platform, it scans a clothing product with a camera and shows directly users. Okay, this one is a little bit tricky because you'd have actually to have, sorry, I was trying to use this example, but yeah, this example is a little bit tricky. Okay, so scale the tech only when your business needs it. And in terms of tech recommendations, so if I would recommend tools, like if people here are thinking of building an MVP, so if you're not technical and you don't have a technical partner, I would suggest to use tools like Airtable software. And so Airtable as a backend, software as a front end, and Make to do some automations. Like these tools, in the beginning, for people that have zero knowledge, they might be a little bit scary, but they are quite fun to use. And there's a lot of materials on YouTube to learn them. So, I would say non-technical founders, instead of spending too much time like on pitch decks, I would spend more time on learning how to build things with these tools, because also when you start learning the logic here, it also helps you understand better tech. And I think that's important. And vibe coding, so I would use things like Lovable or Replit to build clickable prototypes. So what I just did there very quickly, you could build that and then start giving it more prompts to create more pages or to change pages, but you would have something visual to show. If you're technical and have a technical partner, I would still, like in no code, I would still, like first versions, start with Airtable software and Make, because you'll move much faster. But then if you want to scale, once you validate your ideas, then Bubble or Xano and WeWeb are very good tools to create scalable applications, but you can create them much faster. Of course, you can also build it with code. There's people that are super fast building things with code, but I often find that no code allows even tech people to build things faster. And then if you're going into AI coding, yeah, use Lovable, Replit, or Cursor to build your prototype like we're doing there. Try to be mindful of what it's doing to the code. And then once you get to a good point, you need to kind of like, as Mario said before, take the code away and, and then adjust the code and make sure that the application is scalable. One thing that I think it's important to always say is even if we have all of these tools and if tech is becoming democratized, if you're building a tech product, at some point you'll need technical people. Like we've seen so many products that, are built with these tools, but they are built wrongly and then they're not scalable and they have problems. Of course, that's not a problem if you're just, prototyping and building something scrappy just to test it out. It's a problem if you already invested like a lot of months into it. Sometimes it happens to us, like people actually paid like no code agencies to build products and then the product is not built well. So like I always say, like even if the tools are fast to build something, to scale properly, you still need to follow the development best practices. So it's important if you're building a tech company, it's important that you have some technical people that really know what's happening, under the hood. And I don't know how am I doing on time, Mario?
We are now having 12, so exactly on time.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to show you here. I just put these print screens. Actually, these print screens are from the event that we organized, so the Builders Club. And if you go here, we do a monthly meetup in Berlin where we have founders, sharing their story of building products with no code and AI. And actually, some of them were hosted at SIBB. So yeah, every month we invite a founder or someone in an organization to come and share their insights on how they use these technologies to build companies faster. So just to give you here some examples, recently we had the CEO of VARM. They got almost 7 million in funding. They are doing house insulation, and they run their whole company on Airtable and make.com. So they use 100% a no-code stack. So, you can get pretty big funding even running on this type of tools. Cardino is a marketplace to sell EV cars from Germany to the Nordics. They also got 6 million in funding. Their whole application is built on Airtable and Bubble. You have FinAuto, which is now a company worth evaluated at more than 600 million, that they still use a lot of no code internally, especially make and retool. And their product actually started with no code. Of course, now they scaled beyond it, but they started with those types of tools. And we also had in a more like can I say, even for example, industries like mining, where it's like a bit out of what like normally startups focus on. We had the CTO of Koshera that they also got 1.5 million in funding, and they built an application entirely using Bubble, so a no-code platform. So when we talk about like these tools and how to use them, it doesn't mean like they're just for prototyping. It's like they can help you if they used well. They can be scalable. They can really power an organization to move fast because again, you don't only build fast, but you can also make changes very fast, and you're not depending on a big team of engineers that that will always take a bit longer to get things changed. So I believe there's a lot of opportunities to be had if you know these new ways of building products, of building MVPs, but also also understanding how they work and how to make them scalable. because yeah, it's not just, they're not just, you know, little toys to play with. Like, no, you can build real companies that get a lot of funding and that have a lot of future with this type of tools. So I think that's it for the presentation. I hope that was interesting, and I don't know, Mario, I don't know if it's time for questions now or.
Thanks a lot, Diogo. Super interesting.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if there are still questions, I think slowly drop out. If there are still 1 or 2 questions, we maybe can answer them.
Yeah, for sure.
So either you can switch on your microphone to speak directly or in the chat. But if there are no questions, it's also fine. I think you were
Perfect.
showing a lot of content, a lot of possibilities, what is yeah, possible nowadays. And I'm pretty sure if we would meet in half a year again, things will change again a lot.
For sure.
And
I would just end there then, Marius, to say like I think the important thing is not to be tied to you know, to, let's say, dogmas or you know, now you see a lot of like this thing of like so software developers don't like no code because of this and that they don't like AI because it's kind of like it's threatening what they do. And but you know, the world keeps on evolving and it will always evolve. So like I think what's important is to always be aware of the new tools that are out there. How can I leverage them? How can I best use them to you know, to build my product? Because there's still a long way of digitalization to go in our world, especially Germany. And
yes.
I think all of these tools will just make that go much faster and enable us to do that much faster. So my recommendation to everyone is, you know, test things, be aware of the new trends, see how you can leverage these tools for yourself. And also one thing is start learning how to build yourselves, because it's becoming more democratized and easier than ever to actually build tech. So I think that's a transformation that we'll see in organizations, that we'll have more builders everywhere. It's not just going to be the software engineers building things. Like business people will build things, you know, even non-technical founders will be able to build things. So keep aware of these trends and where things are going. Test a lot of new things, because I think the path is clear, that it's about democratization and you know, and doing things faster.
It's the same way. Thanks a lot, Diogo, for your content.